Who would win in a fight between Zoro and Katakuri? Now I know a lot of people think that Katakuri's been power cliff, but let's just go over what it is he was able to do. So he can control the terrain because he's an awakened devil fruit user. Thanks to his future sight, he can avoid so much damage that it doesn't matter how strong Zoro is, he's not going to be hitting him that much. And even if he were to hit him, it's not that Katakuri's a glass cannon, he will be able to get back up. Zoro's not one-tapping this dude. He's a descendant of Big Mom, one of the tankiest people in the series, come on now. And if he can damage Luffy, who's a mythical Zoan, I know we didn't know at that point in time, work with me here, then he can definitely damage Zoro, who was getting hurt by getting slammed in the walls by King. Now, clearly, I want to say that Zoro has the attack potency to bring down someone like Katakuri. If Zoro can bring down King, who is one of the tankiest people in the franchise, then realistically, he can bring down most people should they get hit by him too many times. It's just landing those hits, Katakuri is going to make it very difficult to do. All the while he's controlling the terrain, keeping Zoro at bay so he can't even get close. And we know when it comes to Zoro, it don't matter if it's Dressrosa or the current arc Egghead, he has trouble getting in on fast or far away opponents. With Katakuri keeping him at bay, he can't just like go gear 4 and fly in the way that Luffy did. He's struggling, he has to run in. Over the mochi that's on the floor, mind you. And minor spoiler for Egghead, but if he wasn't fast enough to just blitz and put down Lucci, I don't think he can do that to Katakuri. And I do think that Lucci has to be faster than Katakuri, but with future sight, Katakuri was even keeping up with Gear 4 Snake Man Luffy, which we don't know how fast that is in relation to Zoro, because Luffy just went straight to Gear 5 versus Lucci, but I would imagine that that level of speed, which gave Kaido difficulty, would still give someone like Zoro difficulty. And if Lucci could keep up with that, then Zoro's going to have a very hard time landing any damage on this man. So when it comes to the two of them in a fight, I would definitely say that it's like probably half and half, a little more in Katakuri's favor though. He has more than enough damage to put down Zoro should he land some good hits. Zoro won't be as fast or as hard to deal with as Luffy was because he does not have this level of speed or flight. And unlike Luffy, who could eat his way out of something like this, Zoro would just get buried alive. So, it's a harder fight for Zoro, period. Granted, Zoro has definitely showcased that he can take down people way more durable than Katakuri should he land like 2-3 hits. Even though it's kind of tricky to understand how much damage will actually put down Katakuri because we really didn't get to see that. Remember, he got up and then laid back down because he was letting Luffy get away. So how much damage does it take to bring down Katakuri? We don't know. All we know is that Luffy's King Kong Cobra is not enough to really get the job done. Despite that though, I'll still give the edge to Zoro and say that he regardless has the attack power to bring down Katakuri. It's just more often than not, Katakuri will be able to keep him out long enough that he can beat him before Zoro can get in and take him down. It's not impossible for Zoro to do it, you just gotta understand Katakuri is very good at keeping people back. His fight with Luffy, after all, took more than 11 hours. I have to ask, where do you get the confidence saying something and being so wrong about it? Why would you say Zoro has attack speed greater than that of Luffy, so advanced observation haki shouldn't be a problem? Where in the story have you seen a fight that showcases that Zoro has speed greater than Luffy? Where have you seen that? I know you mentioned in other comments that because of his EI sword style with the Lion Song and Nishi Son Son that he has attacks that are greater than Luffy's speed because these attacks do the damage after he's already sheathed the sword and did the swing, but that's just like a really anime trope, and you're trying to use that anime trope to say that Zoro is faster than Luffy. But not only are you using this to say that Zoro is faster than Luffy, you're also using this to downplay everybody else in the comment section to say that they don't know what they're talking about when you're the one going off the headcanon. Not just headcanon though, you're also just going off the anime tropes and you're taking them as canon. I don't know how you see Katakuri take all the damage that he does against Luffy, Gear 4 Luffy, and Gear 4 Snake Man Luffy, and you somehow still think that Zoro will one-shot Katakuri. I don't care if you think Zoro is stronger than Katakuri. I don't care if you think Zoro beats Katakuri. Zoro's not beating Katakuri in one hit the same way Katakuri wouldn't be beating Zoro in one hit. I didn't know this had to be said, but I'll say it here. Oda does not care about power cliffing. Oda does not take power creeping into consideration. That's y'all, the fans. You think Oda's thinking to himself, oh, Whole Cake Island was 2 arcs ago, so you know what? Zoro should be strong enough to one-shot him now. No, that's not how that works. That's like saying Crocodile gets power cliff because we left Alabasta, even though we saw at Marineford and Impel Down, clearly that was not the case. My advice to you, get offline for a little bit, take a breather, and actually read One Piece because you'll find that Oda knows what he's doing with a lot of these characters in the story. You don't need to headcanon what you think certain characters can and can't do. Because if we were to go off of your headcanon logic, that would also mean that Brook is fast enough that he can deal with Future Sight. And I know we both know that that is not true. I would definitely say that Sanji has a better matchup against Katakuri than Zoro does. And the reason should be obvious, but just in case it isn't, let's go into it. So for starters, Sanji can fly. Being able to just fly over the ground that he turns into Mochi is a very huge plus that's going to help him win this fight. If he wins this fight. On top of that, he has Infra and Diablo Jambe, which fire does work against Mochi because they can burn it. Meaning rather than just getting like a blunt hit whenever Luffy tried to hit him, he would be getting a burning hit that would do more damage to his body than what Luffy did with Snake Man. And no, this doesn't mean that Sanji is stronger than Zoro or Luffy, but it does mean he has Katakuri's weakness more so than the other two do. This is why I try to stress so much matchups in this series, because different people are going to have two different outcomes when they fight certain people. And while he doesn't have Future Sight, Sanji has showcased to have really good observation haki, at least better than Zoro's. Katakuri was about to witness Sanji avoid getting shot, so he threw a jelly bean at him just in case the bullet missed, and then Sanji dodged that too, hitting the dude that was going to shoot him. So Sanji would definitely be able to keep up to some degree with his observation haki plus his speed. I mean, this dude can literally dodge light, so his speed, I would say overall, is greater than that of Katakuri's, but Future Sight definitely helps. It's because of Future Sight that he was able to avoid getting hit by Snake Man hits, and I know some people like to say that Snake Man is weaker here than it is in Wano, and sure. But that really isn't the point, because the only point I'm trying to bring up when I use Snake Man is that it's extremely fast and Katakuri can deal with this. And the only frame of reference that you have with how much speed you need to deal with Snake Man is the fact that both people, Kaido and Katakuri, that had to deal with Snake Man, use Future Sight to avoid those punches. It don't matter if it's a Whole Cake Island or a Wano Luffy, Future Sight seems to be the key to avoiding how fast these punches go. But since this is hypothetical, I would like to say that Katakuri would, be able to deal with Sanji's speed thanks to Future Sight. Because Sanji's not the first person to react to light speed with his speed in the series. We saw Luffy do that at the beginning of the time skip. Now, that didn't mean that Luffy back then was speed of light like Sanji is currently, but it goes to show you that with observation haki, you can kind of cheat the speed system and give yourself reacting speeds that are greater than speed of light, even if you ain't speed of light. To which I definitely put Katakuri in that category, as well as Snake Man Luffy. They don't have to be light speed, but them plus their speed plus their Future Sight allows them to react to light speed. Up to this point in the story anyway. So overall, just like with Zoro, I do see a way that Katakuri can beat Sanji, but I see more ways that Sanji can beat Katakuri than Zoro could. Being able to fly over the ground so you don't have to deal with the Mochi like Zoro would is a big plus. Having observation haki that's already greater than Zoro's is going to allow him to dodge more hits than Zoro could. Not only that, but land more hits as well. And on top of that, him having fire makes him have attacks that can do more damage to Katakuri than Zoro or Luffy's would. Maybe not Zoro, because sword attacks just hit different, but you get what I mean. And to the people a little bit behind watching this video, no, I am not saying Sanji is stronger than Zoro. What I am saying though is that he has more tools that are better suited for dealing with Katakuri than Zoro does. And if I'm being honest, that should not be a point of contention if you've watched the series and you've seen what all three of these characters can do.